Minister for Industry, Karen Andrews, is speaking after Holden's announcement.
And of course it's unfortunate that that's happening post the event, and I would much prefer to have had those discussions prior to their announcement yesterday. It is extraordinarily disappointing that Holden has taken these actions. But what we do see is that Ford has shown a very strong commitment to Australia. They reaffirmed their commitment yesterday. I spoke to the CEO, Kay Hart. She confirmed that they were as committed as ever to Australia. We've subsequently heard from her that they are looking at investing $500 million in Australia over the coming 12 months. They are looking to hire some more people. So I think that what Ford has been able to demonstrate is this is what you can do with government support and an organisation that is willing to take some risks and to invest in not only Australia but the people in Australia. And I guess my last comment on Holden is that they have committed to me that they will look after the displaced employees and they will look after the dealers that have been affected by this very sudden announcement. I will be holding them to account on that.
Is it possible that here that Holden's taken us for suckers a bit? Promises that were made 3 years ago, getting on for 3 years ago, it would seem they had no intention of keeping those promises.
I think it's incredibly disingenuous of them. They have been the beneficiaries of about $2 billion in Commonwealth funding over a number of years, and I would have expected that they would have a greater commitment to Australia and to Australians, and that they would have had greater respect and courtesy for Australia and Australians, and given us some opportunity to work with them and to fully understand the decision, rather than being briefed at very short notice prior to them taking the public stage and walking away from Australia.
So this is an element of trust, and it seems there isn't much on your behalf towards them.
Oh, look, I think that Holden have got a lot of work to do to restore Australians' confidence in them, because this has been a devastating blow. People do associate with the brand of Holden. Everyone has got a story. My first car was a Tirana, so it's been part of my family history for quite some time. But that story, is being told all around Australia now. They've damaged their brand by their own actions.
How confident are you that Ford won't follow in Holden's footsteps, and how many Holden workers do you think Ford will take on?
Well, I committed yesterday to contact Ford, which I did. I spoke to the CEO yesterday, and we will be meeting in a couple of weeks' time. I believe we're trying to line that up now for Melbourne over the next couple of weeks. I'm taking on face value with a level of trust that Ford has developed a strong workforce here in Australia. They've got over 2,000 employees here. They've committed to remain present in Australia. They have committed to employ more people, and they have an ongoing investment here. So all of the indications are that they can be taken at their word, and I sincerely hope that's the case.
So a little bit more trust with your conversations with Ford than those with Holden?
Look, it's not a case of trust with Ford as not having trust with Holden. I mean, Holden has damaged its own brand and its own standing in Australia. They did that all by themselves without any help from others. We will be talking to them today. My department is meeting with them to understand what the issues will be going forward. I'm now focused on making sure that the workers and the dealers are well looked after in this transition, but my focus in terms of manufacturing capability in Australia is now firmly on Ford.
Would you like to see General Motors sell the Holden brand to Australian investors?
Sorry, I didn't catch.
Would you like to see General Motors sell the Holden brand to Australian investors?
I'm very focused on making sure that Ford does well in Australia.
And will you seek to immediately redeploy the Holden workers into other areas like hydrogen and manufacturing?
Well, clearly there are opportunities in a range of businesses across Australia. What we will do is try and facilitate as much as we possibly can support for those workers and opportunities for them. Now, when I spoke to Holden yesterday afternoon, I asked them what the classifications were of the workers that were likely to be displaced. They indicated that that would be in administration, marketing, support roles. So there are endless opportunities for those people from an industry perspective as to where they may go. I have raised the prospect with the Ford CEO of some of those workers going to Ford. Obviously, they'll make their own decisions based on their own skills, needs and the future of that business here in Australia. But I would encourage all businesses across Australia to actively look at supporting those workers who have been displaced from Holden and from other industries.
And just on another matter, can you explain in plain language what a technology investment target is?
I understand that there's a lot of speculation in the media about technology targets. What I will tell you is that we are very focused, the Prime Minister, myself and in fact all of the coalition members and senators, on building our technology expertise here in Australia. So what we will be doing is working with industry, and you're seeing a great collaboration here today between industry and researchers. We will be looking at what the technologies will be that are going to support Australian businesses. Now, specifically on issues relating to emissions reduction, I have been very clear that I am focused on looking at what the solutions will be rather than endlessly discussing targets or, in fact, whether or not climate change is real. So I'm very focused on what we can do through technology to lower emissions. Now, that might be different fuel sources. That could be hydrogen, and a lot of work and investment has already happened in that. But there are lots of other things that our researchers are working on that will lead to emissions reductions.
So what is the difference between a technology investment target and an emissions target, and do they both carry a cost?
Well, if you're talking about a technology investment target, you're actually looking at what the resources will be and what the amount of the spending will be towards developing technology. If you're talking about an emissions reduction target, you're talking about what will be the target set in terms of tonnages or percentages reductions in emissions. So they are two quite different things. One is talking about the emissions that we will be reducing, and we are already well on track to meet and beat the targets that we have agreed to that have been set. But if you're talking about an investment in technology and setting a level on that, it's clear that we do have businesses such as BAE that are already investing. We have the Innovative Manufacturing CRC that is investing. We have investments from Flinders University right here. All of that is an investment in technology.
Last question.
What happens now with legislation to further protect automotive franchises, from these sorts of situations like with what's happened with Holden?
Mm-hmm. So I have already convened a roundtable of automotive interested party stakeholders that will take place this Friday. It was already set up so that I will be speaking to dealers and their representatives, the peak associations, about a range of issues that we know are already affecting dealerships. Of course, I think the first topic of conversation now will be the impact of Holden walking away from Australia and the impact that that will have on dealerships. Now, many dealerships across Australia are multi-brand, so on that basis, it will be limited where the impact will be limited where Holden is walking away. But there are other dealerships that are, I understand, exclusively Holden, so that will have an impact. So on Friday, I'll be chairing the roundtable and I will be speaking to industry about what the impacts are.
And in the old Holden versus Ford rivalry, are you now Team Ford?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks.